hand over to you for a brief introduction round so that we all know who is on this table. Before doing so, just a quick reminder of what is our objective in the next approximately 45 minutes. We have prepared a selection of materials to go more in depth on the two key parts of the framework that we will address, so key trends and factors. My colleague and I will share them with you. We'll take approximately 10-15 minutes altogether, and then we'd like to get your insights, your perspective, and your feedback on these different elements. In particular, we'll see it in a second. You see it a bit on this slide. We are interested in seeing whether there is something particularly relevant that is missing from your side, something you would like to integrate, an experience you would like to bring to us into this table to make it stronger, to make it more relevant, and also understand whether from your experience there might be a need for additional data, evidences, and so forth that we might need to collect and to add into the repository. Just for you to visually know where we will be, you remember our first part of the framework, which was discussed by my colleague Flavia. We will in particular drill down on the trends part, and then with my colleague Giuliana on the institutional factors, policy factors, and everything that is relevant from a more contextual perspective. Giuliana, would you like to add something before we start?
No, thank you, Silvia, for this introduction and for the presentation. As you mentioned, I'm a colleague from years, and yes, we will talk about and also discuss with you main trends and factors that we have identified influencing labor and skill supply and demand, as well as the skill mismatch. Thank you.
Thank you, Giuliana. So we have talked a lot, so let's take a couple of minutes to also hear from you before going back to some additional slides. I will just go through the sequence that I see on my screen. If you can just say your name, your organization, your role, so that we all know who is in this session. Malgorzata, I will start with you, and then Adeline and Giannis, please.
I understand I first, yes, or not. My name is Małgorzata. I'm from Technical University of Gdańsk. I'm been on our faculty, and in our project I prepare a sequence about introduction for our researcher. I read a lot of articles, and I prepared introduction for all research.
Very good. So on the key determinants, if I understand correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? If I understand correctly. Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Margaretha. Giannis, I see you. If you want to say something about yourself, we have met you already.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Yannis. I'm the project coordinator from the University of Peloponnese.
Thank you, Giannis. Adeline, please.
Hi, I'm Adeline. I'm from Spain, from the Spanish Foundation for Science and Technology, which depends to the Spanish Ministry of Science and Innovation. And I'm the Spanish representative of Cluster 2 of Horizon Europe.
Very good. Thank you, Adeline. I see Maria Chiara and then Panagiotis, please.
Hello, everybody. I'm Maria Chiara Patuelli from the Metropolitan City of Bologna, public administration. I work for the education and the social development sector. Where we lead a metropolitan network for lifelong learning with more than 80 public and private organizations.
Great. Thanks a lot, Maria Chiara. Panagiotis.
It's my turn now, right?
Yes.
I'm the president and CEO of the Patras Port Authority. We are based in Patras, the third biggest city in Greece. Our port is a public port. Now we are in the phase of transforming this port from a monothematic port to a multimodal port. Thus, in a couple of years, we're going to need a lot of well-trained labor. So this means that not only we can contribute in this workshop, but also we totally need the results.
You hope to have some results, very good. Thank you, Panagiotis. I will now ask Eugenia and then Marek.
Hello, I'm Eugenia Anastasopoulou. I'm working in PIC Consulting, which has the role of the dissemination and exploitation leader in this project. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugenia, part of our consortium. Marek, please.
Good morning. First of all, thank you for a very useful workshop. I'm Marek Hlavac. I'm an economist at the European Commission, working at DG Employment, and I work at a unit that is responsible for active labor market policies, especially in the context of the European semester, which is the sort of coordination mechanism for macroeconomic policies in the EU, and the workshop has been very useful so far. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Marek. Thank you. Rita and then Constantina. I will ask you to introduce yourself.
Good morning. My name is Rita Annabella Maroni. I am from I work in Union Camere, the Italian Union of Chamber of Commerce, in particular in the active labor market policies area. The focus of our team with my colleague Francesco Vernacci is the Excelsior project that is developed by Union Camere with the Italian Ministry of Labor and Social Policies. That is one of the main information system in Italy of labor demand.
Thank you, Rita. Constantina and then Francesco and Chelsea. Thank you, Constantina. Just give me a second. Not a problem. You can stay with us, and then if you manage to come back and open your microphone, we'll still be here until 12:30. So, Francesco, please.
Hello, everybody. I am Francesco Vernacci, and I head of the statistics of this in Union Camere. And I would say Annabella, we lead the Excelsior information system, that is one of the most important forecast analysis and survey on the all of enterprises in Italy about the needs and the professional requested by enterprises then.
Thank you, Francesco. It will be very interesting to listen to your perspective. Chelsea and then Alvaro, please.
Hello, I'm Chelsea Lazaridou. Can you hear me? I'm having internet connection problems. I'm sorry.
We hear you and see you very well.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm Chelsea Lazaridou. I'm from Greece. I'm from the Hellenic Adult Education Association. We are a partner in this project, and I am the project manager. So nice to be here, and hello to everyone.
Thank you, Chelsea. And Alvaro, I will also ask you if you can just tell us your name, your role, and your background.
Yes, hello, my name is Alvaro. I'm from Spain. I'm working at the Barcelona Supercomputing Center. I'm a postdoctoral researcher in the Computational Social Science department. And we mainly research and evaluate labor market policies, not only active labor market policies, but also industrial policies and its effects on employment, doing both causal inference and machine learning stuff. So great to be here. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So we are ready to start. You see, we have tried to create this opportunity also for exchange across different perspectives, different countries. And we think that the two topics that we bring to you will be particularly relevant to gather different perspectives. We'll talk first a bit about the different trends that we have identified in their relevance and impact for skills mismatch, and then my colleague will go more in the direction of contextual and institutional factors. I beam up the two questions that we would like actually to address with you in the next 35 minutes. You know, today is a validation workshop, so I'd like to understand whether what we have showed earlier, and in particular what we'll show to you in the next couple of minutes, is complete, whether something is missing from your side, which nuances we can add, what are elements that we could strengthen or highlight more from your perspective, both in terms of the different trends and factors that we have identified and which we will propose to you, and in terms of the also additional data and intelligence. And this is why also the colleagues who are working on collecting, analyzing data and databases are particularly relevant for our discussion. I will take the first part of the next 10 minutes, approximately 10-12 minutes, to guide you through a quick overview of the work that we have done on trends, and in particular their relation to skills mismatch. So our objective was to inform the work that all the colleagues and then the team of journalists will be doing to inform our tool with the type of constructs, the type of documents, the type of evidence which will be needed. The objective is to target skills mismatch. Skills mismatch depends in a non-linear way from several trends that affect our labor markets in our society. Based on existing literature, we have structured and clustered these trends in two main parts. The so-called demand trends, so trends that affect the demand of skills, the type of skills that are needed, the composition of skills. It was addressed also by Kenya in her keynote. For instance, three key clusters: technological change. Probably Alvaro, you will be able to help us on this if anything is missing. Fair green transition and geopolitical and macroeconomic changes that are creating also uncertainty to a certain extent in terms of what our needs for skills in the next couple of years will be at all. Supply side refers to trends which impact the availability of skills, the availability of qualification, if we want to use this proxy, and even broader, the availability of people and individuals. This is why we focus on demographic changes, migration changes, but also, as we will see in particular with Juliana, migration policies. So how we decide as EU member states to address this. Participation, education and training, literacy and numeracy evolution. Of course, we will not go in detail in each of you, but we would like to share with you the selection and also the type of thinking that we have used in this sense. So I will now guide you through a couple of slides for each of these elements. Technological change, in particular here, I would like to also focus a bit on the thinking that we have had in our analytical framework. The objective was not to collect and interpret all the relevant evidence on technological change existing, which would go beyond our purpose. In terms of skills mismatch, it will also be relevant at a contextual level, but our work was to identify key drivers and key elements. In terms of technological change, for instance, we referred to the different types of devices and the different types of processes which might change the way in which companies and therefore also workers work, which you find in the description of the trend. For each trend, we then have specifics and dimensions, for instance, the relevance of digitalization, automation, AI, and generative AI. Probably could also mention quantum computing going forward in its different relation to the work that we carry out within our organizations. We have, of course, selected some key evidences from databases available, CEDEFOP European Skills and Jobs Survey, OECD data, and then our challenge going forward will be that at national level, we have, of course, different databases that can be used, and to reflect not really on the data and on the numbers at this part of the project, but on the impact within our framework towards skills mismatch. So why is technological change relevant for the development of skills mismatch? Because it impacts the type of tasks that we need, it impacts the need for upskilling and reskilling, it might impact the composition of jobs and labor. This is a type of thinking that we have developed. Of course, in our report, it's much more detailed, but in the next couple of minutes, I will go through the different trends approximately at this level. Technological change, fair green transition, again, another relevant trend from our perspectives in terms of the normative and operational needs that will arise from the fair green transition policies that the EU is developing and to which countries are committing. Also, in this case, I will focus in the middle of this slide on the possible impact on skills mismatch, demand for new skills, potential obsolescence of existing skills. If we consider, for instance, the automotive sector, we see very clearly how the type of technological change plus fair green transition might lead to the need for new skills to reskill and upskilling of different parts of our labor population. And to conclude on this brief overview of demand trends, we wanted to highlight the geopolitical and macroeconomic changes that are interrogating us these days, a shift towards closing borders, enhancing tariffs, more isolationism or autonomy might create a lot of uncertainty in terms of the type of supply chains, the type of jobs that we will need going forward. For this, for instance, also the work from those of you who are working on imagining new enterprises, collecting data and working with enterprises is particularly interesting in this area of uncertainty. I will now move to the supply side trends to give you a snapshot of the work and the relevance of key data that we have considered in our report and will consider in the repository and in the next materials related to demography and migration. Of course, you see I'm not reading everything, but we keep the slides also for our session in case we want to go back. We have here more details than I can pick up on right now. The topic of migration, as I said, is relevant for us, migration and demography, actually more from the policy environment perspective, which we will address in a second. And let me close with another part that we have addressed and that will be addressed in the repository, which is part of the evidences that is needed for the type of work that we have had, data and evidences on the participation, education and training. We have an idea of the existing skill set, and through the, there are few surveys that help us to really grasp skills. Many surveys grasp more qualifications or formal education. We have the PIAC data that we have considered in our report as an important basics for at least numeracy and literacy, and this part on education and training is relevant in terms of attainment levels for the possible development of skills mismatch going forward. Now, these trends, and I will stop now and hand over to Juliana, are actually to be understood in our framework only in conjunction and in addition with what Juliana will share with us in a second, which is the influence and intermediation of the policy and institutional factors and contexts. Please, Juliana.
Thank you so much, Silvia. I will share my screen with you. Please tell me if you can see it in a moment.
Yes, I can see. Maybe you can start the presentation now.
Yes.
But otherwise we can see.
Okay. Is it working?
It was working.
Okay. If it's not a problem, I will leave it this way because I don't know why
it's fine.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So Sylvia was saying, and as we mentioned during the plenary session, within the analysis, we have also identified some policy and institutional factors that play a key role in shaping labor and skill supply and demand. So this is also crucial in order to understand differences in institutional and policy environments across countries and in which way their systems work and how they reacted to the trends explained by Sylvia before and to skill mismatches. So in this overview, we first identify policy factors in a wider policy and skills ecosystem and its governance, and then institutional factors of LMNP systems that have an impact, so an influence on the way LMNPs responded to labor market needs. Okay. So within the broader context of labor market dynamics, a range of policy factors plays a crucial role in shaping labor and skill supply and demand. We have labor market regulations, institutional frameworks, and skills dynamics that collectively form this interconnected policy ecosystem, influencing skill matching and the impact of structural megatrends. I won't delve into each aspect in detail, but it is essential to highlight some key components that contribute to this wide environment and that talk to each other. So we have education and training systems that are essential to ensure that curricula remain relevant to labor market needs, vocational education and training opportunities are accessible, lifelong learning pathways support continuous upskilling and reskilling, and also career guidance that is essential in helping individuals to make informed choices. Similarly, labor market systems through employment protection legislation, wage policies, and also collective bargaining mechanism affect, so influence job stability and adaptability of workers. Economic and industrial policies further shape skill demand by fostering sectoral growth, driving innovation and digitalization, and addressing regional imbalances. And as my colleague said, migration and mobility policies influence workforce fluidity with qualification recognition and mobility support, ensuring that workers contribute with their skills where needed. We have also social and welfare policies that play a key role in ensuring inclusive access to skill development, particularly for marginalized groups, and data and information systems through skills anticipation tools and labor market information frameworks influence coordination and forward-looking planning. So in brief, together these policy elements form a comprehensive policy environment that, as I mentioned, influence labor market trends, skills mismatches, and evolving workforce demands. And they also have major effects on how the system responded to major structural trends and mega trends. So as this policy system interact, there is the need of a structured governance. This wide ecosystem requires an integrated and holistic approach among policy domains in order to grant policy coherence and coordination horizontally and vertically. Relevant factors in this regard are represented by coordination and cooperation across the various governmental levels, engagement with the stakeholders throughout the policy cycle, but also alignment and coordination between financing arrangements. There must be a clear distribution of decision-making powers and a strong coordination mechanism in order to ensure policy coherence. Collaboration with non-state actors is as well essential as they provide valuable insights and influence as well implementation. And reliable data systems support the stakeholders in tracking learning and employment pathways, even if managing them requires significant resources. Here in this slide, I provide a glance of the institutional factors of LMNP systems that we identified that are as tightly interconnected and that influence the performance of the system. So these concern the organizational structure of LMNP provision, meaning the allocation of responsibilities for LMNPs among key stakeholders, the regulatory framework of LMNP provision, meaning the legal provisions governing the design and implementation, and the capacity of LMNP systems, meaning the availability of public funding and resources for employment services. As concerns the first factor, that is the organizational structure, it is relevant to know that it's shaped by several key dimensions that influence how the system functions and adapts to labor market needs. So key elements to consider here are the fact that at the core of LMNP provision, there are the competent ministries, typically the Ministry of Labor or Social Affairs, which set the overall policy framework, allocate budgets, and define policy strategies. But the implementation and coordination of LMNPs also rely heavily on subnational governments and public employment services. And across the EU, the involvement of additional stakeholders varies, reflecting different national approaches. In this framework, PES, of course, has a crucial role. A key factor shaping the functioning of PES is their legal status, which differs across countries. So we have some PES that operate as independent public bodies, others are managed at the local or regional levels. So these, of course, these variations influence the level of autonomy and decision-making power that the PES have. The autonomy and responsibility of PES are also shaped by political and financial considerations. In some EU countries, PES hold full responsibility of LMNPs, while in others their role is more limited. Also, the role of private employment services is key, as their involvement influences the system operation and delivery models. Beyond this formal governance structure, interinstitutional collaboration, of course, plays a key role in shaping how employment services and LMNPs are delivered. So in this regard, ministries and PES work closely with employment service providers, training institutions, temporary work agencies, and other key stakeholders. And in this context, the role of social partners, of course, it must be considered and varies across the EU. In some cases, they are fully involved in advising, while in others, their role is more limited. The other dimension is the regulatory framework of LMNP provision that consists of some dimensions that shape how the system works. So we have at the core regulatory components, national legislation, parliamentary acts, ministerial regulations. But beyond this legal structure itself, a key dimension to consider is the balance between regulatory flexibility and complexity. So regulatory flexibility refers to how easily LMNP provisions can be modified, where regulatory complexity refers to the number of legal layers governing these policies. So across the EU, we have different dimensions, and LMNP regulatory frameworks can be classified based on their level of complexity and flexibility. We have as well the capacity of LMNP systems. This is the last overarching dimension, which is largely determined by the availability of public funding and resources allocated to both employment services and LMNP initiatives. Funding vary across EU member states, including EU-level financial support and national, regional, and local budgets. So while some countries rely heavily on EU funding, others use it as a supplementary resource. And this, of course, influences the way LMNP functions. Just the last one, we have the role, of course, of digitalization and AI in the last year, in the last couple of years, that are transforming PES and the delivery of LMNPs by affecting the efficiency, personalization, and strategic management. So integrated labor market information systems, predictive analytics, and real-time dashboards all influence PES in order to monitor program uptake, evaluate effectiveness, and adjust interventions, while AI tools, of course, affect job matching and tailor activation measures. I think I'm running out of time, so I will pass the floor.
Thank you, Juliana. As you see, as researchers, we could go on for quite a couple of hours, but we wanted to give you a more detailed idea of the type of work that is behind what Flavia showed earlier. And now it's finally your turn. My colleague from the consortium will excuse me if I first give priority to our guests. So I will hand over to the different experts who are here with us today. Again, the two questions that we would like to focus on with you are: is there anything really important that we are missing? Something that is that you are observing? How did it feel? This narrative, these different elements that we identified. I remind you, the objective is how much can we capture of part of what is driving skills mismatch, and also give us back some of your perspectives, anything that you are observing today that you think might be relevant for the project in general, also based on the presentations that we had earlier. So Adelina, Maria Chiara, Panagiotis, Marek, Rita, Francesco, Alvaro, who wants to break the ice? Adelina, thanks a lot, please.
Yeah, maybe you have already mentioned it, and maybe it's the presentation now it's too general. But in the supply chain, in the demography one, maybe you should focus also a little bit more, not only in the issue of the age or the origin, the regional origin, but also the gender issue that maybe can be quite important. In not only in the national context, but I think in the European context, and not only in the migrant aspect, but also in the original European policy context. So maybe
how gender models and roles drive or contribute to a possible skills match. That's a good point. Thank you. Please, I didn't want to stop you if you want to share with us something else.
Silvia, please share the slide with the questions.
Okay, do you think it can be useful? I see Alvaro. Then I will take it out because I think it's nice to also see each other. So let's give another look at the questions and then
Sorry,
Alvaro.
Chelsea was before me, I think.
Yes, I just wanted, Chelsea, if you allow me to first get the perspective of the guests, and then I will hand over to the colleagues of the consortium.
Oh, of course.
Thank you. Just because I'm afraid of time.
Thanks for the presentation. For me, just 3 brief comments on data and 1 brief comment of data analysis. On the data, I think it was pretty comprehensive. But on the technological side, I would focus more on skill level data, and I think the Web Intelligence Hub from the European Commission offers good alternatives because it gives you information on job ads, which skills are related to each ad. So this can give you more detailed information. On the macro policy, I would focus also on the Global Trade Alert, which is a data set publicly available, which offers summaries of policies, not only industrial policy, but also trade policy in general, which focus and also indicates which will be the occupation fostered by the government in future industrial policy. Thirdly, on the education side, I missed more data on the field of education. I think the level of attainment level is very important, but the field of education could also be interesting. In Spain, we lack data on that, except from the university statistics, but maybe getting some administrative data on that could.
Okay, indeed, on this we did use some Eurostat data on broad fields of study and education in our report, but also then at national level. That's a good point. And maybe you can repeat for me the first data set that you mentioned.
The first data set is the organism is called Web Intelligence Hub. It's a consortium between the European Commission and Eurostat, I think. The dataset is called Online Job Ads, Advertisement, or something like that. You can access online by applying for it. And the second one is Global Trade Alert. And finally, on the intelligence side, I would suggest also to focus on the causal inference part on recommendations. You can do many predictions about which occupations could be fostered in the future. But at the end of the day, when you find heterogeneous effects between populations, you need to go from the prediction to the recommendation, and this is done with experiments, which I missed in the previous presentation, but also like the distributed justice theory that tackles how to cope with historical biases. For example, I could predict that For example, certain races won't finish my training course, but I want to correct that. So there is a good paper on that.
That's a good point. Thanks for pointing out to us. And then maybe Rita and Francesco, you can also give us your perspective in a second on this topic of skills and occupations, predictions, and which challenges you see going ahead, also in terms of recommendations, as Alvaro was saying, also based on the increasing uncertainty that we are facing. Thank you, Alvaro. Anyone would like to comment on the comments of Adeline and Alvaro? If there is any, Chelsea, then I'll come to you. Any first reaction? Thank you. Otherwise, Chelsea, please.
I just wanted to say that going back to trends, we tend to, well, we're focusing mostly on digital skills and green skills. And we're forgetting about the horizontal skills that people have or should have, like creative problem solving, emotional intelligence. Those are skills that are very important across all sectors of the labor market. And we tend to forget about those. I understand that we are incorporating them somehow in the mechanism, but maybe we should just show them a little bit more. I don't know. It's just a thought. Yeah.
That's a good point, Chelsea. Thank you. I think it is partially incorporated in the PIAC data, which have one data set on the problem solving. Indeed, I am afraid, but I can also would like to listen also to others. I think the problem with emotional intelligence is that its measurement and the data that are missing more than in other cases. But it's definitely a good point, and we will make it more prominent in our work as a point of attention. Thank you, Chelsea. Marek.
Maybe following up a little bit on a point that Chelsea just mentioned. Often when we talk about skills mismatches, the way we measure them is might be whether your job, the education level, for instance, required for the job you hold is higher or lower than the education level you possess. And it's not always obvious that this is a good measure, right? Because on the one hand, sometimes you want people to be able to move across occupations. Sometimes you may. It's not always obvious that even if you have data on the area of study, it's not obvious that if you end up doing something other than what you studied, you're actually worse off. So this is an issue that has come up a little bit when we were thinking about skills mismatches, whether the measures that we have are good ones. And I think one benefit of projects that are very data intensive, like the one you have, is that maybe you can give us some additional insights on these more conceptual questions as well. Thank you.
That's a very good point, and maybe we haven't mentioned it earlier. Janice, if you want to, I mean, we have touched on it, but we haven't mentioned it earlier in detail. There will be a work package dedicated also to the job vacancy data that we will leverage. And what you're saying also refers, if I understood correctly, to a certain extent also to the gratification and the outcome of the occupation that we are doing. Outcome can have different quantifiable measures, but there is also a we can say quality of work, which is also an interesting element to be considered. If I'm not mistaken, there are some measures in this direction in the CEDEFOP survey on skills and jobs. But it's a very good point, and we can consider it also going forward when we will have detailed microdata on the vacancies. Thank you, Marek. So Maria Chiara, Rita, Francesco, would you like to add something? Panagiotis, I'm not sure you are still connected, but we still have a couple of minutes, I would like to hear maybe Maria Chiara from the field level that you were mentioning to us, if there is maybe also to the policy environment that Juliana described, anything that you think we should capture more in detail.
I can just stress the importance of to strengthen the system and the cooperation and the coordination of the system at the horizontal level. I think it's really important because you have many different actors, and I don't know how can you can I say research this local level from your point of view, but I think that it's really important in the operational everyday work.
It's I thank you for this comment because it's very relevant. We have, of course, discussed right now databases at national or European level. So one of the challenges that we have is to go down to the local level. And in this respect, my interpretation is that Wizard, the tool that we are developing, will also work, hopefully and ideally, in sort of a capacity building perspective. So we have in Europe, within each country, many different experiences, and the tool will work possibly, look at Janice, also to strengthen the competencies and the capacity of the local administrations and government to be able to address these issues in a more complete and more updated and more inspired way. So thank you, Maria Chiara. We have time for a perspective from Excelsior, Francesca and Rita, if you want, or for Panagiotis, if you want to tell us how the port is. Please, Francesco.
I am Francesco. Only two points. So I joke. I am a sad example of skill mismatch because I know I have a lot of time to improve my English. This workshop, this meeting is very important for me because I consider all of elements of the part A, the break, but it's more difficult to inside in every topic. But only two considerations. The first is very important the use of administrative data because the data of inks, for example, we can analyze every movement because from people that inside in the market label and people that check out. So this part is very relevant. In fact, with the Chelsea, we analyze the forecast in the middle term that the more important part of these needs in the next 5 years are the replacement demand, not the expansion demand of the sector. So the reskilling, the training of these people that go out of the market of labor is very important because it's a big part of this transformation in Italy. Second one, the selection channel. In Italy, we have a lot of 90% has less than 9 employees. This part of enterprises don't use formal channel to selection and recruitment people, but use informal channels that are knowledge of friends, of word of mouth about network proximity. So there are a lot part of mismatch that don't small enterprises don't are in a bigger network in which the information, the knowledge are in common, are considered a common value. And the last consideration is that the importance of the taxonomy for comparison these politics. I see that this is one of the points of the part A, part B, the importance of the classification, because the classification are the language to decodify the code, to words that are completely different. An example, that the students that go out of the training know only the CV, but the language in which, from which the enterprises recruitment people not are training job title, are only profession. With the Chelsea, we put inside these two different language, profession, figures with training, job titles that are necessary to work in this place. Sorry for my expression.
No, thank you. Thank you, Francesco. I think you made 3 interesting, very relevant points. The use of administrative data to have a more granular grasp on the dynamics and the paths. The second point was also very relevant, how skills mismatch, we have addressed it in our report, but we can strengthen it, how it is also driven by the information asymmetries in the selection phase. And as you were saying, we have across Europe many companies who cannot address or access more formal types of channels. And the third point is language translation, you were saying, across different taxonomies, classifications, and the different languages that are involved. And I think on this, Giannis, you have already done some work also with the classifications, but it's a very good point. We have a couple of 1 minute, 2 minutes before joining the plenary. Panagiotis, if you would like to give us the perspective of the port in the Port Authority in Greece. How are you looking at this topic from your employer perspective?
Thanks. The point is that we usually are the beneficiaries of all this outcome, let's say, of what the procedures will be. In the Ports Authority point of view, I have to highlight that already we got a lot of, let's say, processes to analyze here. But as I wrote in the chat some minutes ago, I just want to highlight the 2 biggest problems we face in the transformation of the port into a multimodal port. What the people think of, they are not able to learn new things, and at the same time, they fear that robots and artificial intelligence and all this evolution of technology will replace them, so they are going to lose their job. So these are 2 very big obstacles we face here.
That's a very good point, Panagiotis, and indeed we miss a paragraph on this. I think the perspective of our sentiment to technology is particularly important, and we should definitely stress this more. There are surveys which pick up on the overall sentiment towards specific classes of technologies. And of course, it's something to be taken into account going forward, because as you're saying, on the one side, we should, all our individuals should address these new technologies, but on the other side, we have this fear and this distance in some cases toward technology, which is part of an emotional dimension which has to be addressed, and that usually people at the ground and local level know very much upon, because it's when you meet a person, you need to take that into account. So thank you also for your perspective, Panagiotis.
I have to leave for a meeting, and then we'll come back in a while, okay?
Yes, sure. And actually, our time for the session is running up. So I look at my colleague, Maria Giuliana. Do we have everything for our wrap-up in a second?
Yes, yes.
Very
thank
good.
you.
I thank you all. It was, I know we have shared with you a lot of information, so we thank you a lot for your attention. We will share everything afterward. For us, this was also, I could say, John, is the first officially open event from our project. So you will be also engaged in the next steps. If you want, there will be additional occasions going forward. The project and the community are just starting, and we thank you all for your time today. And in a second, we will be brought back to the plenary session for final key messages and goodbye before finishing everything. Thanks a lot, and see you in a second.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you.
Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
I think it's enough to click on the leave room now to go back to the plenary.